Relationships are very important in the lives of individuals. We must be able to relate with people for us to be able to achieve whatever vision we have for our individual lives. Every human has an arguably relevant impact on another human. Whether family or not, every human has a tendency to be influenced directly or indirectly by another person. It is due to the receptive nature of humans. The mind is trained to look out for what suits the value system of the person. It gets attracted to such an act which significantly contributes to a person's view of life and value system. Negative or positive, the mind might not distinguish as long as it aligns to the value system in the mind. The trait is emulated. A common quote says, if you journey with 4 wise men with you being the 5th, very soon you'll be the 5th wise man in the company. In the same manner, if there is a company with 5 fools and just 1 wise man, very soon the wise man will be the 5th foolish man because his mind is subjected to influence from the other 4 men. Again, it is often said that you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you allow even one of those 5 people to be toxic, you soon find out how capable he or she is of holding you back. Toxic people can influence you not just into being as they are, but also into being who you are not meant to be. These are people that you must be able to distance yourself from if your 2022 will be productive. It's said that you are a sum of all the people in your social circle. Hence, you will flourish when you're surrounded by supportive friends and experience your mental health deteriorating when those around you are negative. At times, we do know that certain people are toxic, but we find it difficult to cut them out of our lives. The thing is that their negativity will eventually catch up with them. You see, no amount of meditation or yoga will give you peace of mind if those people around you are constantly creating chaos. You might want to ask how you can easily identify a toxic person, right? Toxic people are people who leave you emotionally drained after you encounter them. They leave you with no control over what happens in your life. You lack energy, sleep and motivation are just down naturally. It can result from the stress they make you go through. Toxic people also intimidate people. They make you feel less of yourself, not being able to decide what you should make as a personal decision. This set of people is quick to guilt trip a person. They intentionally make you feel wrong even when it is nothing significant. Toxic people induce this guilt tripping to get you into fulfilling a desire of their heart. Selfish desires usually. They do not just guilt trip, they envy your progress, not feeling too happy about the fact that you have been able to make a success from your life. Generally, they're just not the sort of people you want to have close to you if you will fly high this year. These toxic people may seem trustworthy and likable, but they could severely impact your prospects. Toxic people defy logic. Some are blissfully unaware of the negative impact that they have on those around them, and others seem to derive satisfaction from creating chaos and pushing other people's buttons. As important as it is to learn how to deal with different kinds of people, truly toxic people will never be worth your time and energy, and they take a lot of each. Toxic people create unnecessary complexity, strife, and stress. Usually, exposure to stimuli can cause strong negative emotions. The same kind of exposure you get when dealing with toxic people causes the subject's brains to have a massive stress response. Whether it's negativity, cruelty, victimization, harassment, or just craziness, toxic people drive people's brains into a stressed out state that should be avoided at all costs. Weeks of stress can cause reversible damage to brain cells, and months of stress can permanently destroy them. Toxic people don't just make you miserable, they affect the brain very negatively as well. You can't hope to distance yourself from toxic people until you first know who they are. The trick is to separate those who are annoying or simply difficult from those who are truly toxic. That's because truthfully, none of these guys mean to be toxic. While it might be difficult to change a toxic person, you might also want to try talking it out with them, and if they persist, you could be sure that you need to avoid them on your journey. Let's talk about some of the people you need to distance yourself from if you must have a great year. The first set of people you need to distance yourself from if you must have a great year is the gossips. The wife of the former president of the United States of America, Eleanor Roosevelt, once said, "Great minds discuss ideas, average ones discuss events, and small minds discuss people." A gossiper or gossips are people who engage in casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. Sometimes they go as far as spreading false information that could lead to the end of something good for the person. Gossipers derive pleasure from other people's misfortunes. It might be fun to peer into somebody else's personal or professional life at first, but over time, it gets tiring, makes you feel gross and hurts other people. Gossips do not have anything positive to offer their friends. They are constantly on other people's matters. There are too many positives out there and too much to learn from interesting people to waste your time talking about the misfortune of others. It's a shame, but some people just seem to have nothing better to do than to gossip about others. Be wary of such people. They may appear friendly and trustworthy, but it can feel nice that they share with you. But if they reveal other people's secrets with you, then they will most definitely reveal your secrets to other people. Even if you decide to keep gossip at bay, you must make sure you do not tell them anything that you would not want others to know about you, your family, or your work. You can't achieve anything with gossip mongers. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. The second set of people we will discuss are the ones who have no control over their emotions. They are simply temperamental. The act of being temperamental or having self-control is called temperance, and it is often defined as emotional restraint. Temperance comes from the Greek word that means strength, not physical strength, but inward strength that helps us make the best choices. Temperance is moderation in thought, word, or action. Those who practice temperance are self-controlled and show restraint in their passions and behaviors. Temperamental guys lash out at people and project their feelings onto them, all the while thinking that the person is the one causing their troubles. Temperamental people are tough to dump from your life because their lack of control over their emotions makes you feel bad for them. When push comes to shove though, temperamental people will use you as the emotional dump and should be avoided at all costs. But I keep my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means when I have preached to others, I should be a castaway. The third set of people that must be avoided is the envious people. Envious people are always jealous of the success that you make per time. As far as you're succeeding, you get a feeling of inconvenience. It does not even have to do with them being above or below you. They just want success for themselves alone. To envious people, the grass is always greener somewhere else. Even when something great happens to envious people, they don't derive any satisfaction from it. This is because they measure their fortune against the world's when they should be deriving their satisfaction from within. The unfortunate thing about envious people is that there is always someone out there who is doing better if you look hard enough. Then it means that envious people never really get time to stop being envious. They just want to be on top of the world. Spending too much time around envious people is dangerous because they teach you to trivialize your accomplishments. They make you consider your gradual rising as nothing. They make you greedy and unsatisfied with all things that happen in your personal life. Envious people can never be happy for anyone else and spend their lives wanting what others have. You can tell someone is happy for you and when someone isn't. Their facial expressions and actions says it all. Perhaps they try to belittle your efforts and skills. Maybe they openly criticize you or spend time gossiping behind your back. Do you know what? These people just aren't worth worrying about. The only reason they're jealous is that you're doing well, and unless they start sabotaging your career for real, it's best to leave them to their negativity. Proverbs 14 verses 30. A sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones. But unto Cain and to his offerings we had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Another set of people is the judgmental people. Being judgmental describes someone who forms lots of opinions which are usually harsh or critical about other people. Judgmental people are quick to tell you exactly what is and is not cool. They have a way of taking the thing you're most passionate about and making you feel terrible about it, instead of appreciating and learning from people who are different from them. Judgmental people look down on others. They stifle your desire to be a passionate, expressive person, so you're best off cutting them out and being yourself. These people do not believe in the term constructive criticism. They judge you from head to toe and often come across as very insulting. Such people hardly respect your opinion and try to push you to believe in what they think is right. They are overly critical. They show no respect for the person they criticize, and they justify what they say because they believe it is the truth. They're not open-minded or easygoing. People can become judgmental due to their pride, their hurt and anger at being wronged, and a lack of love for others. Judge not that ye not be judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in your own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, Let me pull the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thy own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then thou shalt see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. The next set of people is the arrogant people. An arrogant person is someone who is full of self-worth or self-importance, and who tells and shows that they have a feeling of superiority over others. It is an insulting way of thinking or behaving that comes from believing that you are better, smarter, or even more important than other people. Arrogant people are a waste of your time because they see everything you do as a personal challenge. Arrogance is false confidence, and it always masks major insecurities. Arrogant people tend to be lower performers, more disagreeable, and more cognitive problems than the average person. Someone who believes they're better than anyone else and is not afraid to show it. When people work in an environment, get promoted, it can go to their head and they can become this way. They forget that they were once in the same position as the other employees. People like this can become difficult to work with. This kind of behavior will not go unnoticed. People will be repelled by them, and people who are above them will soon notice. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. Pride and arrogancy and the evil way and the froward mouth do I hate. In those days Hezekiah was sick to the death, and prayed unto the Lord, and he spake unto him, and he gave him a sign. But Hezekiah rendered not again according to the benefit done unto him, for his heart was lifted. Therefore there was wrath upon him, and Judah and Jerusalem. Notwithstanding, Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of the Lord came not upon them in the days of Hezekiah. The next group of people are the liars. Liars are people who are desperately untruthful, deceitful, false tellers. Liars are terrible people to be with. You'll find it difficult to trust them if they portray their personality to you a few times. Liars do so in an attempt to cover up their self-image most times. Frustratingly, lies do seem to get away with it half of the time. They may lie to their boss about a sale they made, or they may lie about other people to get ahead of everyone else. But one lie leads to another, and so on. Because once the truth is about to be discovered, rather than own up on their faults and mistakes, they make attempts to save themselves. They get to tell another lie to cover up the previously told lie. If you're working with a liar, remain calm, stick to the truth. Document your dealings with a liar, and know eventually they will get caught, because you won't be the only one to notice, and if they don't, maybe it's time to move on. You cannot have a liar as a person whom you can trust, because most of the time what led them into lying is the presence of another bad attitude in their heart. They try to hide that, and they get to do so by lying, spreading falsehood about themselves. Lying was what led to the death of Ananias and Sapphira. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. But a certain man named Ananias with Sapphira his wife sold a possession and kept back part of the price. His wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost, and to keep back part of the price of the land? Whilst it remained, was it not thine own? And after it was sold, was it not in thy own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thy heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God. And Ananias, hearing those words, fell and gave up the ghost, and great fear came on all of them that heard these things. And the young men arose and bound him up, carried him out, and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours after, when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. And Peter answered unto her, Tell me whether ye sold the land for so much. And she said, Yea, for so much. And Peter said unto her, How is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out. Then she fell down straightway at his feet, and yielded up the ghost. And the young men came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband. And great fear came upon all the church, and upon as many as heard these things. The next set of people you should avoid are the control freaks. Control freaks always want to be well in control. A control freak is usually driven by the urge that they want everything to be done in a way that they feel is correct. These people avoid mistakes in their own life, and as such, have a high need to correct others in case they find anything wrong. Usually, They are overcome with an obsession to get things done a certain way. A control freak can become distressed when someone causes a deviation in the way they prefer to do things. They are often perfectionists. They may manipulate or pressure others to change to avoid having to change themselves. It is hard to plan an activity with these people because they always want to be the leader and they want everything to work the way they want it to. This can be pretty frustrating if you're not allowed to bring your ideas and suggestions to the table. It is important to remain calm with a control freak. They just want everything to work out. If you're in a relationship with a control freak, you will need to be supportive and offer your suggestions and be assertive when you do. Explain why you think your idea will work, how it will benefit that person, and show examples of when this has worked before. Control freaks don't wait on God. If he tarries operating upon his timetable than ours, we panic and do something stupid, and the cost of our impatience and unbelief is high. That was what happened with Sarah when she told her husband to lay with her maid. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bears him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid, that it may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar the maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. Toxic people drive you crazy because their behavior is so irrational. Make no mistake about it. Their behavior truly goes against reason. So why do you allow yourself to respond to them emotionally and get sucked into the mix? The more irrational and off-base someone is, the easier it should be for you to remove yourself from their traps. Quit trying to beat them at their own game. Distance yourself from them emotionally and approach your interactions with them like they're a science project. You don't need to respond to their emotional chaos, only the facts. Maintaining an emotional distance requires awareness. You can't stop someone from pushing your buttons if you don't recognize when it's happening. Sometimes you'll find yourself in situations where you need to regroup and choose the best way forward. This is fine, and you shouldn't be afraid to buy yourself some time to do so. Most people feel as though because they work or live with someone, they have no way to control the chaos. This couldn't be further from the truth. Once you've identified a toxic person, you begin to find their behavior more predictable and easier to understand. This will equip you to think rationally about when and where you have to put up with them, and when and where you don't. You can establish boundaries, but you have to do so consciously and proactively. If you let things happen naturally, you're bound to find yourself constantly embroiled in difficult conversations. If you set boundaries and decide when and where you will engage a difficult person, you can control much of the chaos. The only trick is to stick to your guns and keep your boundaries in place when the person tries to cross them, which they will. Next is the group of people called the complainers. These lay a complaint and get bitter about virtually everything that does not go according to their plans and thought. They may have a great position with great benefits, but they're still unhappy and ungrateful. Something as small as the coffee being too strong or the chair being too squeaky will set them off, thus creating a negative environment. They're excessively given to complaints, crying and whining. They might be people that have good qualities. In fact, more often than not, they are highly rated because of their productivity, but they produce a lot of negativity in the environment. If you make it quick this year, you have two choices. Limit your time spent with the complainer or stay strong and try to maintain a positive attitude when you come around them. Hopefully, they'll soon catch on and start feeling more positive too. Do all things without murmuring and disputing, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God without rebuke, amid a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. Last of the group of people you must distance yourself from if you make it this year is the manipulators. Manipulators are people who control or influence others in a clever and unscrupulous way. A manipulator will actively lie to you, make excuses, blame you, share facts about themselves, and withhold other truths. In doing this, they feel they're gaining power over you and gaining intellectual superiority. Manipulators are experts in exaggeration and generalization. Manipulators suck time and energy out of your life under the facade of friendship. They can be tricky to deal with because they treat you like a friend. They know what you like, what makes you happy, and what you think is funny. But the difference is that they use this information as part of a hidden agenda. Manipulators always want something from you, and if you look back on your friendship with them, they only take and do not give back in the relationship. They can do anything to win you over just so they can work you over. Diplomacy can be an impressive trait, but being manipulative is certainly not. Manipulative people do not think twice before making decisions that will benefit them, even if it means hurting their neighbor, no matter who or she is. The worst part is that they are so subtle and convincing about their actions that you won't be able to identify them easily. Who you hang around with really does matter to your progress and achieving success. So spend time with people that will encourage and inspire you in all aspects of your life. Also remember, toxic people are usually just unhappy and insecure in themselves. So be careful about what you let out into their courts. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.